top stories, Ethiopian President Sahle-Work and World Bank officials meet in Paris to strengthen cooperation. Professor Brook advises Ethiopians to carry on GERD construction in a fair and equitable use. And IMF chief says Ethiopia, Chad and Zambia are trying to revamp their debt burdens. Hello, many thanks for joining us. You're watching Ajay's News Hour with the news. I'm Tabitha John. Do stay with us. One of the major reasons behind Egypt's resolute on thwarting the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam comes from fear that Ethiopia will be a regional superpower. In an exclusive interview with ETV English, Professor Brook Hailubesha has advised Ethiopians to carry on the construction of the dam in a fair and equitable use of the Abay River. Listen to the professor.
They want the world audience, especially the Arab Middle Eastern audience, the world audience, and Africans. They want to confuse. They want to spread this spin. It's called spinning, like cotton, spinning the lie, putting the blame on Ethiopia, and really hoping they will not succeed. By the way, hoping that Ethiopia will be put under pressure. So much so that this giant GERD project will be jeopardized and will stop its operation. Secondly, they want to use this to sow disunity among the people of Ethiopia. They support any opposition group, internal and external groups. The Egyptians do support that. They want to manipulate. They want to come in between minor differences that Ethiopians have as members of a family. So they do that in the hope that they will take advantage of that. Thirdly, it seems now they don't want another regional power coming into the front. Ethiopia is rising, and no force can stop that. But what they are trying to do is to stop this reality, this from being a reality. They feel that Egypt will be shadowed over by the Ethiopian rise to power.
The professor also outlines the many-sided benefits of the GERD, calling on the diaspora to shore up the noble cause.
But Ethiopia has set a target, has a goal, and that is it needs to economically, socially develop. It needs to electrify the entire society. 60 million people, Ethiopians, still don't have electricity. We need to run our factories. Things are going very well economically and socially, and we need to progress and we address our social economic problems. So they want to put a wall between the government of Ethiopia and its people, and they also want to put a wall between the different Ethiopian groups that we have. So I think they will not succeed, but they are doing everything possible. And the diaspora in Ethiopia, by the way, for your information, the diaspora in America and the rest of the world, they are doing everything possible to stand behind Ethiopia and to stand with Ethiopia and do the fight. The fight is not only about the Ethiopian government's fight. The fight is the fight of all of us as Ethiopian Americans, as Ethiopian Europeans.
Ethiopians and Ethiopian nationals living in Germany have contributed more than 3 million birr to the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD. A webinar has been organized by Ethiopian Embassy in Berlin in partnership with the Consulate General Office in Frankfurt, with a view to recognize the financial support from members of the diaspora in Germany to the GERD. Addressing the webinar, Minister of Water, Irrigation and Energy, Sileshi Bekele, briefed briefed participants on the latest developments regarding GERD and on the ongoing trilateral negotiations on the dam. Saying that the construction of the dam has reached 86%, the minister said the project is being carried out with greater participation of Ethiopians living all over the world. He reaffirmed Ethiopia's unwavering stance to utilize its natural resources, including the Nile River, without affecting downstream countries. Ethiopian ambassador to Germany, Mulu Solomon, has extended gratitude to members of the diaspora community for responding to the call from the government and contributing money for the construction of the dam. China has reaffirmed support to the AU-led trilateral negotiations on the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam GERD. Ministerial Counselor and Deputy Head of Mission at the Chinese Embassy in Addis Ababa, Jian Tian, noted that GERD is drawing attention of the world community, including the UN Security Council, adding his government is supporting AU-led dialogues to resolve the issue. China considers greater importance of GERD for Ethiopia and supports peaceful mechanisms to address the issue in line with the country's rights to utilize its natural resources for development purpose, he added. The deputy head of mission underscored that China encouraged Sudan and Egypt to stick to the trilateral negotiations being held under auspices of the African Union. China believes in African solutions for African problems, he said. Various political party leaders visited the printing process and security system of the election ballot papers in Dubai. The National Electoral Board of Ethiopia has sent a delegation of various contesting political parties and media professionals to visit the ballot paper printing process in the country. Deputy Chair of the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia, Ubushet Ayele, highlighted the visiting team has observed ballot paper printing process, technicalities, and security systems. The board disclosed that the tour is part of efforts to conduct free, fair, and inclusive election. Al Ghurair Publishing Company in Dubai, one of the two publishing houses, explained the process and security of the ballot paper printing process. The ballot paper in South Africa covers 45% of the print. This covers southern states, Amhara, Sidama region, and Southwest referendum. The visit was attended by senior members of the Prosperity Party, the National Movement of the Amhara, NAMA, Ennat, Balderas for True Democracy, and Afar People's Party. Opposition political parties operating in Benishangul Gumuz state raised concerns about election campaigning. They called upon the government to solve problems that hinder their campaigning. The ruling Prosperity Party, to its part, said it is making all the necessary steps to make the election process democratic, free, and fair. Alula Teklamariam has more.
6 political parties, including the ruling Prosperity Party, are now undertaking election campaigns to participate in the upcoming 6th general election in the state of Benishangul Gumuz. The opposition political parties said they are contributing their level best for the successful implementation of the upcoming general election, and they call upon the ruling party of the region to address certain challenges happening during election campaigns.
ታች ወደ ማህበረሰቡ ወርደን ቅስቀሳችን በተሳካ መልኩ ለማድረግ እንድንችል ተግዳሮቶች እየታዩ ነው ያሉት.
We are faced with several challenges whenever we go down to localities for campaigning. The lower officials try to stop us from meeting the general public.
ብዙ ችግሮች እየተፈጠሩ ነው ያሉት።
የምርጫ ቦርድ አዋጅ አለ። አንድ የፖለቲካ ፓርቲ ለመንቀሳቀስ የፍቃድ ደብዳቤ አይጠይቅ። ምንድነው ማሳወቅ ነው ያለበት። ያሳውቃል እንንቀሳቀስ
According to the election proclamations, any political party is not supposed to seek permission for election campaigns. It rather informs. But what we are observing here is different.
ግን አሁን እየሆነ ያለው ከሱ በተቃራኒ ነው።
አንዳንድ ተፎካካሪ ፓርቲዎችን በጥላቻ በሌላ አይነት ስያሜ መስጠት አለ። ያ ደግሞ አይጠቅምም።
There is a situation where opposition political parties being seen as enemies. This has to be addressed.
ትልቁ ስኳዳችን መተከል ላይ ነው።
Our biggest base is Matakkal Dawn, but Matakkal is currently under command post. The ruling Prosperity Party is undertaking election campaign using the command post. However, we the opposition parties do not have access and guarantee to do that.
Training and Supervision Affairs head of the Prosperity Party at the Benshangul Gumuz region, Andargacho Molla, said efforts are underway to make the election process democratic, free and fair.
እንደ ቤኒሻንጉል ጉሙዝ ብልጽግና ፓርቲ ምናልባት
As a prosperity party of the Benshangul region, we are undertaking all the necessary steps to make the election process democratic, free and fair. We are going to deal such complaints coming from the opposition political parties. This meeting is part of our effort to address challenges and undertake successful election.
በቅንጅት እስከ ቀበሌ ድረስ
Welcome back. President Sahle-Work Zewde of Ethiopia is in Paris to attend the French conference on supporting the African economy affected by the coronavirus pandemic. The delegation led by President Sahle-Work Zewde held talks with Axel van Trotsberg, Managing Director of Operations at the World Bank, and Hafiz Ghanem, Vice President of the bank's East and Southern Africa region. State Minister of Finance Yasmin Waheb Rabi, who attended the meeting, said the talks with senior World Bank officials was vital to enable Ethiopia to continue in its cooperation with the World Bank. The president has also held talks with Rwandan president and discussed bilateral, regional, and international issues. Ethiopia, Kenya, Guinea, Congo-Brazzaville, Angola, South Africa, Rwanda, Senegal, and Cote d'Ivoire will attend the conference. The conference aims to find new solutions to provide rapid and sustainable financial support for the recovery of the African economy affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Ethiopia has registered remarkable achievements in its agriculture sector over the past 3 years. The country's agriculture sector reform aims at promoting production and productivity by delivering proper assistance to farmers. Modernizing its agriculture sector has also been a center of attention to attract more foreign direct investment in the sector. Sintayo Tamrat presents Ethiopian news agency's file.
The Ethiopian Ministry of Agriculture says the reform it undertakes in the country's agriculture sector envisions to attract more foreign investors, thereby boosting up foreign currency earnings. The agri-reform targets at maximizing production and productivity, and the country considers this as an issue of sovereignty apart from ensuring food security, according to the ministry.
Our reform is not only related to food security but also to national sovereignty, because ensuring food security for a given country is fundamental to avoid vulnerability to challenge. On top of this, all parts of our country grow what we sow. Some foreign experts even say, whatever you throw, it will grow. This is basically because there is conducive bimodal environment in all parts of the country.
The current trend of cluster farming is an outstanding instance of the agri-reform in Ethiopia, the state minister illustrated.
The government has designed and proposed investment projects of many sorts. For example, today we have introduced 9 projects in the horticulture sector alone.
Following amendments with the country's investment proclamation, many foreign companies, including those from India, South Africa, Saudi Arabia, US and Israel, have shown keenness to invest in the Ethiopian agri-sector. As part of the reform plan to boost up production and productivity as well as attract more adequate FDI to the sector, over 550 agriculture machineries have been imported tax-free only over the previous months, whilst Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced that Ethiopia has registered remarkable achievements in the agriculture sector over the last 3 years. A statement issued Monday by the Prime Minister says, in order to strengthen market-led agricultural development system in the country, 10 crop varieties are being developed in 4 regions in cluster farming over 3.2 million hectares of land.
The Ethiopian government noted there appears to be a concerted campaign to exert undue pressure against Ethiopia. In spite of the relentless efforts by the Ethiopian government to engage positively and constructively on issues and concerns raised by partners, it is given a cold shoulder. Now the Ethiopian government is being forced to question the motives of some of its partners, particularly given the public statements and pronouncements they made recently. Kasahun Chani has more on this.
The government has issued a statement today expressing government's dismay concerted campaign to exert undue pressure against Ethiopia. It seems to be short of showing a genuine desire to understand and help Ethiopia overcome its current challenges. Rather, they would only be counterproductive and exacerbating situations. It is in this relation that the Ethiopian government finds it absolutely necessary once again to make its position unequivocally clear on some of the most important and salient issues. On the humanitarian responses in the Tigray region, the statement says the Ethiopian government has not only demonstrated its willingness and commitment to work with the international community to respond to humanitarian crisis in Tigray, but it has also provided full and unhindered access for humanitarian actors to operate in all parts of the region. The Ethiopian government has made it clear time and again what actually makes a real difference is for partners to make a timely and effective response to the international appeal by availing more resources to the relief efforts and not repeatedly call for access. On allegations of human rights abuses on several occasions, the Ethiopian government has also made it clear how it makes any allegations of human rights abuses and crimes extremely seriously. The reason why it acted swiftly to undertake the necessary investigation to verify those allegations and bring perpetrators to justice. It is in this context that a team composed of representatives from the Federal Attorney General and the Federal Police Commission had been deployed in the Tigray region to carry out this investigative work. On calls for ceasefire and national dialogue, the statement depicts the Ethiopian government as being consciously working to promote national dialogue, build a necessary national consensus in the country to chart a better way forward. In this relation, it organizes a series of discussions to engage with wider sections of the Ethiopian society, including opposition political parties, the academic community, civil society organizations, and various representatives of the society, including women and the youth, with a view to promoting a culture of peace and reconciliation and build civic political culture. The significance of these discussions as the country gears up to hold national elections cannot be overemphasized. The unwarranted and unsubstantiated allegations on a stifling of dissent and a crackdown on journalists that some media outlets propagate these days while the country gears up to hold national elections has no other purpose than to tarnish the government's image and undermine the electoral process. Nothing can be further from the truth. This is indeed a government which has rescued the country from the abyss and opened up the political space to safeguard greater peace, freedom and democracy. Its reform credentials have also been well recognized not only domestically but also internationally. There have also been repeated attempts to make unwarranted statements on Ethiopia's internal affairs, particularly in relation to the Amhara region's forces. Ethiopia is a sovereign nation and it cannot accept any dictation from outside on how to manage its own internal affairs. It is in this context that the federal government has been undertaking the rule of law operations in Tigray. While it is the desire of the Ethiopian government to remain always ready and open to engage with partners on the issues of mutual interest and concern, it will be forced to reassess its relations if these attempts to interfere in its internal affairs continue unabated. It is indeed unfortunate that some partners chose to dwell on internal matters of Ethiopia. One can't be indifferent when Ethiopia is flagrantly invaded while purporting to have too much concern about and trying to unduly delve into its international matters. For doing so simply bears duplicity. It is why the Ethiopian government rejects those statements which are not only inappropriate but also completely unacceptable.
And finally, IMF chief Kristalina Georgieva says Ethiopia, Chad and Zambia are trying to revamp their debt burdens. The IMF chief commented on this issue ahead of African leaders meeting in France on COVID-19 economic impact on Africa. Damus Macrael has more.
Africa leaders and chiefs of global financial institutions are holding a meeting in France that aims to seek solution for African countries with critical financing swept away by the COVID-19 pandemic. Africa has so far been less badly hit by the COVID-19, but the economic cost is only too apparent, according to the International Monetary Fund, IMF. IMF warned that Africa faces a shortfall in the funds needed for future development, a financial gap of $290 billion up to 2023. The International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva has told France 24 the international community must step up efforts to help developing economies just to prevent catastrophic economic crisis.
It is time for action. Action by governments. Take opportunity of the crisis to pursue the reforms that open up better chance for jobs for your growing youthful population. Action by the international community. We ought to support Africa in this genuinely historic moment. And we, as the IMF, are doing our part. We are stepping up for Africa in unprecedented manner because of this unprecedented crisis. Over the last year, we have provided 13 times more financial support for Africa than in an average year in the previous decade.
On the issue of debt relief, the IMF chief pointed to efforts underway at the G20 with Chad, Zambia and Ethiopia trying to revamp their debt burdens.
3 countries ask for treatment: Chad, Ethiopia, Zambia. Chad is advancing. There is now a creditor committee. It is meeting. Next is Ethiopia. And then I'm very, very keen to see progress on Zambia. We ought to succeed because if we succeed with these 3 countries, others would step up early. And that would allow us to bring down the dangerous level of debt in countries that are suffocating under high debt burden.
The International Monetary Fund Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, calls on indebted countries, the international community and the private sector to work together on debt issues just to handle it in a collective effort.
You're watching Addis News Hour. A quick reminder of the day's headlines. Ethiopian President Sahle-Work Zewde and World Bank officials meet in Paris to strengthen cooperation. Professor Brook advises Ethiopians to carry on GERD construction in a fair and equitable manner. And IMF chief says Ethiopia, Chad and Zambia are trying to revamp their debt burdens. And that's all we had for now. I'm Tabitha John May. Thanks for watching. Good night.